and welcome back to another travel vlog. This time, my mom and I made a 10-day trip to several cities in Belgium and then Amsterdam in the Netherlands. This is part 1 and will feature our time in Brussels, Ghent, and Bruges. Belgium has so much incredible architecture, history, and of course, chocolate and waffles, and I can't wait to share it all with you. So let's get started. Our journey started on a red-eye flight, which unfortunately ended up being delayed a few times. But luckily we did take off, and after about 8 hours we finally made it to Brussels, the capital of Belgium. We hopped on a train that would take us to Central Station in the city center. I was so glad our hotel was nearby because lugging our suitcases over all of the cobblestone was quite a challenge. Hello from Brussels. We have just left our luggage at the hotel. It's around noon right now, but it's around like 6 a.m. in New York, so we are gonna go get some coffee. But first, we ran into the stationery store where I found some of the cutest cards ever. I actually love collecting cards from around the world and saving them for whenever they're needed. We kept making our way to the cafe and ended up at the Moon des Arts garden. This garden was originally built for the 1910 Universal Exhibition and provides a beautiful view over the city. At last, we made it to Bruges, a cute cafe serving specialty coffee, pastries, and late seasonal dishes. It was so great to have a cup of coffee after basically pulling an all-nighter. Happily caffeinated, we walked over to the Galeries Royale Saint-Hubert, a beautiful shopping arcade. It holds many of the most renowned Belgian chocolate shops, and we had to stop by a few of them. I was honestly so impressed with the sheer amount of chocolate everywhere, and it all looks so good. There's a bookstore inside of the Galeries called Atomium, which looks like it could have been taken out of a storybook. The architecture is so beautiful inside, though they don't sell many books in English. We walked through the mall some more and hopped into this gallery which had some pretty interesting art. And this is a shop selling art on wood. What, the one with SpongeBob? Oh yeah, that's cute. And then there's the one with like Aladdin. Cute. Belgium is well known for its lace, and we saw lots of it being sold in all different forms. After leaving the galleries, we headed to the Cathedral of St. Michael and St. Gadula. This is a medieval Roman Catholic cathedral dedicated to St. Michael and St. Gadula, the patron saints of the city of Brussels. It showcases these stunning stained glass windows, most of which date from between the years 1525 and 1663. Before heading back to the hotel to check in, we found ourselves at Grand Place, the central square in Brussels. This square is probably Brussels' most memorable landmark and is surrounded by buildings such as the city's town hall and city museum. This historic square epitomizes the grandeur of 17th century Flemish architecture and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We rounded back to our hotel to check in, and here's what our room looked like. Hey everyone, so we have checked into the hotel and we've been just vegging here for the past like couple hours, and we are so tired, like been ready to fall asleep because neither of us got any sleep on the flight. But we're gonna make it out for dinner before we actually go to sleep, and it's almost 5 p.m. now, so we're gonna have like an early dinner. I think we're gonna go to the Wolf Market, which should have a ton of different options for food, and yeah, I think that's gonna be our last plan of the evening, and then we're gonna come back to sleep. Sleep! For dinner, we went to Wolf, a food market with vendors serving different global street eats, tap brews, and wine. I loved how they had lots of different Asian options, and we ended up choosing to eat Indian food. I got the butter chicken, and my mom got the chicken tikka masala. And get ready to see us eating a lot of Asian food this trip because we just really love Asian food. We still had room for a little more food in us, and since it isn't a trip to Belgium without getting fries, we stopped by this frite shop called La Friterie. We got the frites with the tartare Maison sauce.
Okay, you can taste test this. All right, Belgian fries. Okay. I think half my face is in there. Good snap. I don't know if I like the sauce that much. Me too. Tastes a little horseradishy. Yeah. The fries are good.
Good morning. It is our first full day in Belgium, and today we're actually going to be taking a day trip to Ghent, which is, I think, about an hour train ride away from here. And we're going to figure out how to get to the train that we need to get to now because it is almost like 30 minutes before we have to be there. So we're going to head out soon, but luckily, I think both me and my mom slept pretty well last night. And yeah, I think we are all ready, so we're gonna head out. We walked to Central Station, got our tickets, and hopped on the train to Ghent. When we made it to Ghent, we called an Uber to get us into the city center. Hello. Our first stop was Le Bath for some coffee and breakfast. I love boiled eggs and soldiers, and they happen to have it on the menu. I still don't know how to properly open one of these eggs, but the food and coffee were delicious. My mom had booked us a canal cruise not too far away, and we headed to that next. It was absolutely gorgeous outside, which made it the perfect day to be out on the water.
I'm a local, happy to show you around here, and that was a good time.
Our tour guide was so nice and pointed out different landmarks we passed by throughout the city.
The castle of the town. Burg was built in the 12th century.
After the tour was done, we walked over St. Michael's Bridge where you could look down Grassley and Corenley, the canal-side streets lined with historic buildings. As you keep walking, you could also see the main three towers ahead, St. Nicholas Church, Belfry Tower, and St. Bavo's Cathedral. This is the inside of St. Nicholas Church. We also went into St. Bavo's Cathedral, which has the most stunning Gothic architecture. We were pretty hungry and chose to eat lunch at this cute brunch and tea house called Alice. They offer lots of breakfast and lunch options, and I ordered the warm toast with brie, honey, and walnuts, which was pretty good. We continued walking through Ghent and passed by Gravenstein Castle, a medieval fortress in Ghent city center. We then reached Graffiti Street, which is exactly what its name implies, a walkway surrounded by walls full of street art. These walls serve as a public canvas for street artists, and all of the art was so impressive. I especially loved seeing this Pokemon art. By now we weren't quite sure where our next stop was, which meant it was time to figure it out at a cafe. We went to Take 5, which had some excellent coffee. We decided to just walk around the city center a little more and learned that there was actually a rowing competition happening right then and there. It honestly looked like a lot of fun for the rowers, and we enjoyed watching for a little while. We figured it was about time to head back to Brussels, so we took an Uber to the train station and caught the earliest train back. It was raining by the time we got back into Brussels, but it was dinner time and we had to eat. We chose this ramen spot called Takumi Ramen that had incredible reviews online. Little did I realize that they actually have multiple locations of this spot all over Brussels and beyond. The ramen really was incredible though. I was impressed.
Mom cleaned that bowl.
Yummy.
On our way back to the hotel, we passed through Grand Place and were surprised to find it lit up in purple.
Mom goes BTS.
Oh, it's purple there too.
Since there were so many chocolate shops located in the square, I stopped by Neuhaus and after receiving a sample of this new vegan chocolate they have, ended up buying a box. And that's the end of day 2. Good morning. It is our last full day in Brussels, and we woke up a little later this morning. I think it's closer to like 8:30 right now, and we're gonna go grab some Belgian waffles for breakfast because we have to get the waffles while we're here, and we still haven't gotten any yet. So we're gonna go to this spot called Maison Dandoy, which is actually really close by, but they have a lot of different locations in the city. It's a little chillier outside today, so I'm wearing some long sleeves and somehow fit my jeans on. And I don't think it's supposed to rain today, thank God, so no umbrellas. I had seen so many recommendations online for the waffles here and was very excited to have my first Belgian waffle of the trip. I will say these definitely lean on the sweet side and probably would go better as a dessert, but I still loved it for breakfast. Next, we headed north of the city center to see one of Brussels' most notable landmarks, the Atomium.
There it is.
But first, we actually went to the cutest little theme park that was right next door. Mini Europe is a park featuring 350 miniatures depicting European countries and landmarks. After entering, you follow an animated tour with visual and sound effects, which are all so cute. The attention to detail is crazy, and I loved seeing all of the moving pieces and interactive elements. They even put the Olympic rings on the Eiffel Tower miniature. After finishing our tour of Mini Europe, we headed over to the Atomium. The Atomium is a landmark modernist building that was originally constructed as the centerpiece of the World's Fair in 1958. Now it serves as a museum, art center, and cultural destination. The inside is spaceship-like and features large-scale, multi-level digital installations. Honestly, I probably wouldn't recommend going inside the Atomium. Here's a pretty mediocre view from one of the atoms. One of the biggest icons of Brussels is this little statue called Mannekin. This 55.5 centimeter bronze fountain sculpture is one of the best known symbols of Belgium, and I swear every souvenir shop in Belgium was selling something depicting it. Next, I stopped by Chocolaterie Mary to buy some more chocolate to bring back as gifts. I love the elegant packaging this chocolate comes in. So by now we just wanted a spot to rest at, and I found this cafe called Wide Awake to do just that. We got ourselves some delicious afternoon coffee and sat there for a little while before we decided to return back to the hotel. For dinner, we grabbed some fast casual food at this spot called Gatsu Gatsu. Here you can create your own stir-fry noodle base and include a variety of different ingredients of your own choosing. We took it back to the hotel to eat, and I was really pleasantly surprised about how good the food was. And that was the end of our day. So we made it to our last morning in Brussels. My mom and I headed out for breakfast and found the city to be quite messy in the morning. We walked over to Frank, an Australian-style breakfast and brunch spot serving dishes made from locally sourced ingredients. I got the yogurt and granola and a cup of the filter batch brew coffee to wake me up. It was a pretty solid breakfast. On the way back to our hotel, my mom wanted to stop by this chocolate shop to get some more gifts. This shop had so many options, and we left with a lot more chocolate than we expected. And then it was time to check out, so we packed our bags and headed to the train station where we caught the soonest train to our next city. Okay, there's no pretty visual here, but we made it to Bruges. We took a taxi to our hotel, which was very conveniently located in the city center.
Okay, we made it to the hotel. Very nice. And here's the bathroom.
Hey everyone, so we made it to Bruges and we got lucky enough that our hotel room was actually ready when we got here, so we were able to check in a little bit early. It's around 1 p.m. right now and we still have a lot of the day left, so I think we're just going to walk around, do a few of the things on our list, and so far the city looks really cute from what we could see from the taxi because the taxi drove through the town, and our hotel is pretty central, so I don't think we're too far from a lot of the main points, so yeah, we're just gonna go out and explore a little bit. Bruges is a stunning medieval city known for its well-preserved architecture and charming canals. We started off by visiting Market Square, the main historical square in Bruges, and a hub of activity for both locals and tourists. Surrounded by historic buildings, the square features the iconic Belfry Tower, which offers panoramic views of the city. Walking a little further, we came across Chocolatier du Monde, a renowned family-owned chocolate shop that's famous for its artisanal Belgian chocolates. For lunch, my mom was craving a burger, so we ended up at this spot called Ellis. They had this soul burger, which looked pretty insane, but neither of us ended up ordering it. My mom liked her burger here, but I didn't really like this place so much. Belgium is well known to celebrate Christmas with markets and decor, and we had to check out this Christmas shop by Burg Square. Even though it was still technically summer, this shop really got me into the holiday mood. Next, we went to Burg Square, which is surrounded by historic buildings such as the City Hall and the Basilica of the Holy Blood. We stopped to watch these musicians for a little while. And also saw this adorable dog.
Oh my god, that dog is so cute. Whoa.
And then we got some waffles on a stick. Here, they cook Belgian waffles to be eaten on a stick and lather them in white, milk, or dark chocolate and a topping of your choosing. My mom got hers with white chocolate and I got mine with milk. Going to try my waffle on a stick. Very good. Good morning. It is our only full day in Bruges and we are about to head out to breakfast. This is the look today. I am covered in mosquito bites and yeah, that's about it. Let's head out. We set out for That's Toast, a restaurant with an exciting all-day breakfast concept serving a variety of toast dishes. I ordered the triple French and my mom ordered the all-day breakfast plate. I think this was my favorite breakfast of the trip.
Thanks so much, guys.
After breakfast, we planned to see some of the more scenic parts of Bruges. But first, look how bad my mosquito bites were. Okay, now that you've seen that, I'll show you what I think is the prettiest spot in Bruges. This is Bonifacious Bridge, which is often called the Bridge of Love. It was built in the early 20th century and blends seamlessly with Bruges' older Gothic architecture. It is one of the most photographed spots in the city for good reason. We made our way to another famous location in Bruges, Rosary Quay. Located where the Diver and Croonery canals meet, it's another popular spot for photos, especially with its backdrop of gabled buildings, stone bridges, and the Belfry Tower in the distance. As you can see, we decided to hop on one of the canal cruises leaving from that very spot. It was a good time of day and there weren't too many crowds out. Like in Ghent, our tour guide spoke in English, French, and Dutch and pointed out lots of cool points of interest.
Et on se retrouve maintenant dans le port médiéval de Bruges.
I was just in awe of how truly beautiful Bruges is.
So it is a very low bridge, so attention for your heads, as every year we lose about 10% of the customers here.
Back on land, my mom and I visited the Basilica of the Holy Blood located in Burg Square. This Catholic church is famous for housing a relic believed to contain the blood of Jesus Christ, and the relic is displayed to the public during religious ceremonies and the annual procession of the Holy Blood. My mom really wanted to see a windmill, so we found one that was a 20-minute walk away from Burg Square. The walk was super pleasant, all of the streets looked so quaint and beautiful, and it was just so peaceful. There are 4 main windmills in Bruges, and we were able to see 2 of them. I don't think I can properly pronounce their names though, so just read them on the screen. We walked back towards the city center and realized we were famished, so we popped into this restaurant called Paradise and shared this plate of pierogies, which was actually insanely good. Happily fed, we walked to the Beguinage 10 Weingarten. This is the only surviving beguinage in the city of Bruges, founded in 1244 by Margaret II of Constantinople. A beguinage is a complex housing beguines, women who choose to live a religiously devout life without taking permanent vows or joining a formal religious order. While walking back to our hotel, we had to stop for a Belgian waffle from Chez Hubert. The waffles are the perfect size for a snack, and they offer lots of different options for toppings. I got the one with chocolate and whipped cream, and the verdict is, I think this spot is my top choice for a Belgian waffle. For dinner, we went to Pool Moule, a restaurant known for its chicken and seafood. Since neither my mom or I like seafood, don't come for us. We both ordered chicken dishes. I got this curry pasta, which was pretty good. Before turning in for the night, we walked through Market Square again to catch it just before sunset. The next morning, my mom and I woke up early to climb Belfry Tower when it opened. Belfry Tower is 83 meters tall, and the only way to the top is by climbing 366 narrow steps. So we mentally prepared ourselves and just got to walking. At the top, you can see panoramic views of Bruges. Honestly, I feel like the view isn't really worth it, especially since the space at the top is so tight and the fencing and the architecture slightly block the view. But it was still a cool vantage point nonetheless. You can also hear the bells up close and personal. It just so happened to be the day that Bruges' Wednesday market was open at Market Square, so I headed back down the 366 steps to check it out. The market in the market is full of stalls selling all types of foods, flowers, and gifts. You can find fruit and vegetables direct from the farm, local cheeses, meats, plants, freshly baked bread, sweets, and hot rotisserie chicken. Flowers are sold depending on the season, and I really wish I could have bought some. So I was really craving a banana and I was too nervous to try to buy a single banana at the market, so I ended up getting a Belgian waffle with banana on it at this cute truck. And then it was time for us to check out and sadly leave this beautiful city. My mom and I packed our bags once again and took a taxi to the train station. Catch part 2 of our trip, which will include our next stops, Antwerp and Amsterdam. Thanks as always for joining along. Bye!